Hi, my name is Pongsathorn Siripongsakorn. Today, I will bring you to the world of the wine. So, we need to know first that what's wine. Wine is an alcohol drink that made from the grape juice that have been fermented for a long time. There are many different kind of wine. So, how to make the wine? First of all, we need to grow the grape and harvest it. Then, crush the grape, ferment the grape with sugar into the wine. Finding, racking, filling and edges and the bottling. All these are the method of the making the wine, but it have a different material. For example, for the red wine, it will use a whole grape to make it. For the white wine, they will use only the uh, inner of the grape that they peel the skin out already. But for the rosé wine, they will use only the skin of the grape to make it. For the process of the wine, it have around 9 steps. First, crush the wine. This step is basically the participation of your grape, the crushing of them to get the juice and skin separate. Of course, if you are just fermenting juice, then this step is not involved. Furring, the next step is a clarification process, typically only used for white wine. Fermentation which will go over the specific of this later on. Cold soak. This step is only the necessary if you are crushing. If not, pass on to the next step. Okay, let's continue. Then you will need to let your grape and juice so of the rest together for about 24 hours and then keep it in the cold temperature about the 48 to 50 Fahrenheit. This allows the juice to sort of the stabilize before fermentation. It starts check your sugar level when the hydrometer for the intentional amount. Inoculation. This one is the next step. This is of course a step you cannot skip over or we could end up with vinegar. Basically, you prepare the yeast. You have select like you would prepare it if you were to make bread. Mix with bit of the just warm water so it can grow and bloom. Once the yeast is for, forming, you can go ahead and add to your wine juice. Fermentation. Now that you are fermentation is off and running, you need to keep tap on it. This one you will need your hydrometer to keep tab on your sugar level. There are some other steps along the way you will need to keep in mind, such as actually feeding the yeast, but we will go over in the further read. Lagging, this is what happens when your fermentation has been complete. Once it is complete, the yeast, cells, and other soil will fall to the bottom of the tank. This is where the tapping will come in handy to transfer the wine to other holding container. Barrel scans, secondary fermentation. It's a secondary fermentation. This is another fermentation process to lower the wine overall acidity level. It makes it more stable product and overall it make it more palatable wine. This is recommend for the red but optional for the white or the rosé wine. filtering and furring. Before you bottle it, you need to make sure that all of the microorganisms found in wine that pretend fermentation, if the wine is not separate from them, a small fermentation could occur in the bottom, which result expanding clog and casual and of course a big mess. Bottling and corking is just a way you keep the wine in the bottom and then you just cork it properly. Okay, next is a difference between the natural cork and the synthetic cork. So there are only two types of corks. The natural cork, a natural cork is a bottom come from the cork tree, which is native to Spain and the Portugal. Cork tree take anywhere from 16 to 25 years to mature, but once the tree has matured, it can be stripped of its bark every 9 years. Before cork, harvesting does not kill the tree and is considered eco-friendly. Cork can also be recycled. If you happen to live near the Whole Food Market, you may have noticed they have a cork recycling bin. As the oldest method of the bottom closure, cork is also reversed in the wine world. Perhaps the biggest benefit of the natural cork is the ability to breathe. Cork allows size amount of oxygen into the bottom, helping the wine age at a slow and steady rate. However, no two corks are alike, so it's possible that some wine can be overexposed to air and can be ruined. In addition, natural cork make wine susceptible to the fungi that live in cork tree, called TCA, which cause the wine to be clogged. Lastly, and the most specific of the argument against cork, natural corks are prone to crumbling, which leave bit of cork in the wine and in the glass. For the synthetic corks are made from low density polyethylene and have gained popularity over the last decade. Like a natural cork, synthetic corks can also be recycled, so make sure to save them. Unlike the natural cork, synthetic cork does not have the ability to allow wine to breathe. Therefore, it is not the best choice for the bottom meant to be aged. However, many consumers are shocked to learn that over the 90% of the wine bottom products each year are made to be consumed young and not technically continue to improve. Many wine experts believe that someday that synthetic corks will be able to mimic the breathing and again the process. Only time and science will tell. A major benefit of the synthetic cork is the reduction of cork tanks TCA and the cork tanks causing fungi that live in the natural cork tree is obviously not found in the synthetic cork. A bottom exposed with the synthetic cork will be never have it up present byproduct. In the addition, synthetic corks are removed from the bottom without bleeding or crumbling. In conclusion, for the pro and the con of the natural crop is, for the pro, we will start with the pro first. So the pro of it is does not kill the tree. Second, can be recycled. Third is an old and general effective method of encrossing wine. Allow wine to breathe, best for adjusting. For the con, tree take a long time to age and can only be harvested every 9 to 12 years. Consumptionable to the clock 10. For the pro and the con for the synthetic clocks. For the pro of it, it can be recycled, not clock 10. Most wine on the market do not need to be aged around to breathe. Do not breathe or crumble. For the con, does not allow wine to breathe, not good for aging, and not traditional, feel synthetic and cheap. And in tiny little group of the bitter astringent compound can be found absolutely in natural. They were present in the wood, bark, leaf and fruit of the plant as various as oak, rambut, tea, walnut, cranberry, coca, and grapes. For the three major wine, we have red wine that get red color from the skin of the grape. White wine, the wine that is a white that is fermented without the skin contact. For the rosé wine, it's a type of wine that incomplete some of the color from the grape skin, but not enough to qualify it as a red wine. What's New World and the Old World? Old World is a wine that from the country or the region where the wine making with is vinifera grape first origin. Old World wine country include France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Austria, Hungary, and Germany. Based on the definition, countries like Turkey, Georgia, America, and the Moldova are also able to be consist of the Old World wine region. For the New World wine, New World wine are from the country or the region where winemaking and visitor grape were improved during and after the grape exploitation. New World wine contain and include the US, Australia, South Africa, Chile, Argentina, and New Zealand. The New World wine region also based on the definition China, India, South Africa, and Japan are the New World wine region. What is vintage and what it is? First, vintage is the wine that was produced in the particular year or the place that year in which it was produced. When buying fine wine, the vintage is fundamental. It can be the difference between wine that is medical and one that is suppling. It can be the reason why one year is available to purchase and the other is sold out year before release. And it can be equal to difference of more than €3,000 between good and bad vintage of the purchasers. This is an example. What kind of grape that make wine? There are many kinds of grape that exist and used to make wine. Mostly they will use the black grape to process for the red wine. For the example, for the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Pinot Noir, Zinfandel, Syrah, or the Shiraz, Albrecht, Tempranillo, and others more. Moreover, white wine uses green and yellow grape to produce it, such as the Chenin Blanc, Gewürztraminer, Marsanne, and Muscat, Chenin Blanc, and other more. Therefore, there are three main kinds of grape that used for making the wine, which are black, green, and yellow grape. What is foxy aroma? Foxy aroma is the musty odor and flavor of the wine made from the Vitis Repulsa grape, native to the North America. Usually, something undescribable is used to describe the strong, raspy smell and taste of some wine made from native Repulsa grapes, such as Concon, Catabat, Niagara, Delaware. Okay, how do I name that? So we need to know first that there are two types of method of the wine. First is the growing region, the grape varietal, and the factory name. So traditionally, over wine product region like France, Italy, and Spain label wine by their place of the origin. When a wine is labeled by its place of the origin, it is assumed that the grape will grow on the particular type of soil in the certain climate. When the visual practice outline and certain rules apply to the winemaking process and the aging process. Over wine, producers feel that place of origin affect the state of the wine more than just the grape. They label the wine by the place to highlight the important distance of the experience expressed through the wine is what people mean when they talk about the territory. It is the idea that the taste of place is as important or even more important than the grape in the bottom. By the grape visual, most New World wine are named after the participle grape varietal in the bottom. A wine labeled as the Circumference Slavigano could be made with only Cabernet Sauvignon grape, but it also could have up to 25% other grapes in the bottom. But the percentage change depends on the growing region. Lastly, the factory name. The wine is able with the completely made up name. This tells the consumer title about the expert from the wine. For the better or for worse, it can appeal to lot of retail and the consumer. There are about 15 major wine that used for white grape. So I have list 10 of it to present uh, in this presentation. Let's begin with the first one. First is Schönbrand. Schönbrand is a white grape common in the Rose Valley of the French. It's vital and can be product dry, uh, sparkling and sweet dessert wine, also known as the steen in the South Africa wine made from Chenin brand typically exhibit floral aroma, apple, and pearl-like flavor, and aesthetic. Next is Trainer. This grape lives its apex in the islands where it produces intensely floral aromatic spicy wine that range from bone dry to pleasantly sweet. In colder climate region such as the Orcon and the northern Italy, it makes a scrap grapefruit flavor with wine that rarely see oak and often pair with the Asian food and the spicy food. Masane is the most important white wine grape of the North Rhone. Masane have only recently began to be voluntarily labeled in the U.S. and both here and in the French. It is often blended with the Rosane, Bonchot, and some other things. Masane rarely and make full body low acid wine with the flavor and the almond, white peach, and lightly spiced pearl. Australia boasts some of the oldest planting in the world. Muscat. There are many varieties of the muscats through the world, but all are marked by the penetrating aroma of the orange when fermented dry. Muscat fruits drive sense and flavor gently improve a hint of the sweetness. It can be made into excellent light sparkling wine, especially the Moscato, the Aztec of the northern Italy, or the rich desert wine such as the Bremes, the Venice, the fortified Muscat of the Australia take the grape to the most luscious and dense extremes. Canon blend. Similar to the Chardonnay, but lighter and more elegant. It has never acquired the cachet or the reputation of the big border pioneer Gregoria, but is also northern Italy, Oregon, and part of California. Some very nice versions are made, ranging from lightly herbal to spicy to the crispy. Crenon brands is bred when left it stainless steel. Rising in favor, rising range from dry and stony to floral and sweet, much like Chenin branch, and the sweetness variant can age for decades. The greatest realizing are the German wine of the Mosel, Saar, Louvre, Renales, and the Holy Ghost. Close behind are those of Alsace, Washington, New York, and the Australia can lay claim to make the best experience of the risings outside of Europe from bone dry rising that marry beautifully when shellfish and the Pacific Rim dish to actually sweet late harvest rising and ice wine. Next is Roussanne. Roussanne is a widely planted through South France and has become quite popular among the ranger of the California and the Washington state. Through both a tasting of lamb and critters is nearly acid, make it fine blending partner for the Marsanne. Next is the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc does not well widely diverse parts of the world and is something of the Chameleon grape that can deliver interesting flavor across a wide spectrum of the richness. The former brand's moniker, coined in the 1920s by the Robert Mondavi as the sale gimmick, is still commonly used and often indicates that the wine has been barrel firmed in Sussex and the popularity firm in the Royal Valley. Export and additionally herb called grassy, which combined with the basic acid and stony mildity of the soil. This has become the benchmark white wine of New Zealand, where the intensity of the green dust and the berry fruit flavor is predominant in the California. It is made in a wide range of style, but often ripe and barrel firm to taste like a peachy, tropically Cabernet late harvest Sauvignon blend, often blend with the Semillon. Make some of the greatest sweet bee in the world, most notably Semillon is like a Sauvignon Blanc. Its frequent wedding made Semillon can make a fine bone-dry white wine, notable for its texture and softly grassy aroma, or it can be late harvest, shaven with the body and turned into some of the world's greatest dessert wine. As also, Oriental has spread success through Washington State does very well with the grape, as does Australia. Spare sauce through Washington State does very well with the grape, as does Australia. Through the role in acid, similar semillons wine that can age nearly and take on a layer of subtle spice and herbs. Young semillons taste of the figs and the melon, adding the leafy note as they age. Viognier is the last one. Viognier is the intensely aromatic and when the perfectly ripe smell of the apricot, peach and cactus rise. It's difficult wine to make as it can be quite bitter and austere when not quite ripe and turn flabby and hot when over ripe. Excellent wine using the grape that are made in Washington, California, Rome and Australia. Tend toward the ribs, hot peaches like Patagonia is also blend and or co-ferment with scents, adding a wonderful high note of the cactus and flower to the finish of the red wine. The red wine, the most popular wine in the world. There are around 40 major red grapes used for the red wine. I do list 10 of it to present. First, Cabernet Sauvignon. Smell violet, blackcurrant, serpent, and spice. Taste highly acidic, high tannic, and medium to full body with black fruit. Note of the black cherry, vital note for the green pepper, and spice note of the vanilla from oak aging. For the color would be brown or orange, taste and a wide rim variation. A noble grape variety Cerbère, then Sauvignon, grow well in the humid region. It's because famous as one of the red wine of the Bordeaux in the Bordeaux in the present day. It is grown in the California, Washington, Italy, Australia, Chile, and Argentina, and some other countries. Next is the Merlot. Smell blackberry, plum, blueberry, and even jam, sometimes like a fruit cake. For the taste, dry. It is sweeter than other red wine, Cabernet, Sauvignon. The color would be dark blue. Merlot is the most cultivated red wine grape, especially in the Bordeaux. It is also an important red wine grape in Chile, Washington, California, Long Island District, New York, and North Italy. Pinot Noir. For the smell, would be a brown pepper bag full of mushroom or wet leaf. The taste would be earth, spice, cherry, strawberry, herbs, and raspberries. For the color would be bright red. For non red white grape variety in the Atlantic and the challenging. It is grown in France, where smell vineyard plot yard wine make from Pronor. Other regions that produce good Pronor, including Oregon, Louisiana, California, Chile, and some part of the Australia. Zinfandel, the smell and the sensation of the uh, cinnamon and clove, even though the aromatics compound of cinnamon and clove. For the taste would be fruity and spicy. The color lighter ruby red. Zinfandel is the among the oldest grapes grown in California and highly regarded there. It has a blackberry or raspberry flavor for many years, while automatics weren't sure of its origin. However, in recent years, it has been proved that Zinfandel is a protein grape, sans or chilas, smell, smoked breadfruit, and pepper spice. Taste would be fruity. For the color, deep ruby red to purple hum. It is a heavy skinned dark grape that grows in hotter climate, which is why California and Australia are two major producers of this decision wine. It is also excels in the Italy, while its size can vary from country to country. It is called Shiraz if produced in the Australia. Next is Malbec. For the smell, blackberry, blueberry, and plum. With oak aging. Tasting medium to full body dry red wine with plenty of acidities and the relatively high tannin and alcohol level. The color dark, inky, or purple. Malbec originate from the French and although one the major component of wine variety in the Bordeaux. It is typically used in the to fresh out the right bank bend. Argentine and French winemaker have discovered the ideal condition to grow this wine grape. Tempranillo smell shaky, tannin, and less earthy note. For the taste, fruit flavor includes plum, fig, and the occasionally tomatoes. For the color, ruby red. Recent data has shown that Tempranillo could be the largest cultivated grape. Special per us, it is the wine of the Spain and is also grown in the warmer climate like California, Australia, Turkey, New Zealand, South America, and Texas. There are strict laws in the place regarding the production of the temprano. This is a sequence smell for the vanilla, forest leaf, wildberry, and anise. For the taste, while rest of taste from really earthy and the rustic as it is the case with the many shanty classical to round the fruit forward. For the color would be purple. It is excellent choice for the Italian and a host of the Mediterranean style cuisine. It is mainly product warmer climate area like Italy, Tuscany region and California. The primary preparation style is a medium body with a plum flavor, and the fresh berry include Barbella. For the smell would be almond, nut, cherry, cranberry, herb, and raspberry. For the taste would be cherry, strawberries, and raspberry. And when young can have a intense aroma of the blackberry as well. For the color would be nude. Barbara red wine grapes are volatile and they go well with many dishes, including the tomato sauce. This grape travels in the temperature region, particularly in Italy. It has a delicious taste with the silky texture and the unique acidity. Cabernet. For the Cabernet, smell green bell pepper, mint, peppercorn, or the coca powder. For the taste would be a green pepper and has a sharp spinach. For the color, autumn florence trail to live for. It is Shell's most popular red wine grapes with the fascinating story. It was originally cultivated in French. It is also a part of the Cabernet family. Its name, which translates as crimson, refer to the color that about in the harvest season. Next, why geography is important to winemaking. The first topic that I'm going to talk about is geopolitics, soil type, evaluation, climate, and seasonal growth temperature. So let's start with the first one. First is geopolitics. In the world of wine, crossing the border is quite literally a game changer. While there exists universal consume that wine is great, we don't all agree on how it should be made or what should be printed on the label. As far as the wine concern, the law of the land usually decide to do one to two things. First, fighting against the white Franks. Second is protect the consumer. It seems literally straightforward, but the way it play out in the real world is somewhat misleading. For example, in the US, in the order for device to be labeled as the porno viral, it only needs to contain a minimum of 75% porno in the Australia that benchmark is 85% and French most bottom level Pongsathorn produced solely from porno. Confess just fill up your glass gets worse. Not only does even the country have its own rule book. Next, for the soil type. As usual, dirt don't get the credit it deserves. Soil type, including sand, clay, dirt, marble, rocks, and dozens of the combination in between, play a big role in how grapes grow up to the kind of wine that they become. Soil type determines the availability of the natural water retention and can even moderate temperature in wide immediate microclimate. Far from the natural risk potting soil you can use for house planting, grape vine actually perform better when natural are scarce and root unsweepy. Their conditions cause the vine to focus more energy on survival and less energy on growing grapes, which means that the vine gives off fewer cluster and each grape has more character, concentration and quality as a result. Sandy soil vineyards tend to produce more elegant wine than clay-based soil, and clay-based soil tend to produce bolder and structured wine. Next is the evaluation for the terrace sloping hills to the deep down the valley. Evaluation affect how grapes go high. Attitude does two things that benefit certain wind. Color, temperature at night, a longer growing season. Chilly night at high altitude mean greater diurnal temperature, which help grapes control their acidity and lend to more elegant age. Worthy wind. Moral of the story: chilly night of the warm wind live a long time. Mountain and hills vineyards also tend to receive more direct and concentrated sunlight, which lend to the greater cold oxidation and stronger tannin. Climate. Beyond average temperature, climate take into the account the weather pattern and the atmosphere conditions that can develop or destroy wine grape. Their factors include things like rainfall, humidity, wind, frost, hail, and quality of sunlight, which will impact everything from a grape's skin thickness to the effect effectiveness of the anti-fungal chemical spray designed to fight off divine mold. Depend on what scientists you talk to. Climate by average temperature, by the scale, or by the general climate group. The best quarantine usual result from stable climate that allow for slow steady without heavy rainfall or extreme temperature. That's the best climate for grape. Lastly is the seasonal growing temperature. From the moment that first blossom burst to the day to harvest, the grapes are in a race to ripen. And average temperature is one factor that determine when and if they will cross the finish line. Grapes rip at a different speed, which means that average temperature a huge component tend to determining which variety should be planted in each region, like Honan and the Chamari. Some of the first grapes to be harvested and grow best with the average temperature of between approximate 57 and 36. On the other hand, it's a grape that need more heat. In general, warmer climate allow grape to fully rip and mature depending deep pigment, bold fruit flavor, greater sweetness, and higher alcohol content. On the flip side, color climate show a softer side, accenting white wine, maintaining juice acidity, and ensuring a delicate dash of flavor across the plate during the blind tasting. Taste characteristic help quickly clarify a win as the warm or cold climate win, and help identify exactly where a particular win came from and how it grew up on the wild. Next is what is the environmental factor affect the quality of grape. First, depend environmental factor like climate, weather, and soil affect the quality and the quantity of the fruit. Heat is the essential. The plant use sunlight and the chlorophyll to produce the glucose it needs for growth and vigor by combining oxygen and water. In simple terms, the goal of visual practice is to concentrate the glucose in the fruit, not just in the wine. Left to the own device depend will use all available resource to grow stronger and bigger. 1.1 Climate and weather. It is important to differentiate climate and weather. Climate refers to the average weather characteristic over the period of the several years. The change produced in this characteristic constitute the weather. For the sub of the climate, and weather. 1.1 Type of climate condition area located away from the large body of water, significant difference in temperature between the hottest and the coldest month of the year. Short warm and dry summer, cold severe winter. Maritime very little difference in temperature between the warmer and colder month of the year. Rainfall is distributed through the year, which had moderating effect on temperature. Mediterranean, the characteristic of the Mediterranean climate are very similar to those of the Mediterranean climate, except that summer are hotter and dry. Next is 1.2. During its growth cycle, the one needs an average temperature of 16 to 22 Celsius to undergo photosynthesis. In addition, different varieties need a different amount of heat to reach the optimal ripeness. In the wild world, the temperature scale in the category as follows: cold region with the average temperature equal to or below 17 degrees Celsius during the plant growth cycle. Due for short cycle varieties, mixed for the mild region with an average temperature of 17 to 18.5. Warm, average temperature of 18.5 to 21 degrees Celsius. Ideal for long cycle variety. Hot temperature above 21 Celsius. This region are not the most suitable for wine growing. Sunlight, as previously mentioned, light is essential to the wine development. Without sunlight, there is no photosynthesis and the plant die. The amount of sunlight absorbed by the plant determines the rate of photosynthesis. In other words, the more light there is, the more glucose the plant produces. Excessive sunlight exposure, however, can also be harmful. The skin of the grape can burn, resulting in a bitter flavor that affect the quality of the wine. Next, 1.4 Soil. The wine grows in the soil that contain a different size rock particle, humus, and the nutrients. The ideal wine growing soil is a natural poor, well drained, and capable of storing the amount of water the plant needs to grow. Next is for the soil. Soil and water. Good soil should have the capacity to store the significant amount of water at the beginning of the plant growth cycle to make sure it gets a strong start in the summer. The plants are subject to sunlight level of water stress after variation to encounter the repeating. Next, 4.2 about the soil and nutrition. These soil should contain a small quantity of certain basic nutrition, nitrogen, phosphorus, and the potassium. If the nutrition level are very high, the plant go to vulgary, resulting in the excessively done canopy. This would prevent sunlight from reaching the grape and improve their ripeness. 2. Species and varieties. Did you know that there are more than 60 different species of grape wine, which is vinifera? However, it's the only one used for winemaking. Other species originate from the North America are used to root stock because they are immune to the Phylloxera. Although now under control, the pest is still a concern to this day. For a layperson point of view, the way grape vine are grown and reproduce is quite odd. For example, if we plant a seed, Cabernet Sauvignon, the result plant would not be Cabernet. In order to propagate a variety, we have to take cutting from the existing plant which into derived from a single mother plant. The variety that have managed to in the different plant of the world are known as the international variety Cabernet, Merlot, Sauv, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon. Horticultural practice. As previously mentioned, if the wine grower did not interest, the plant would direct all of its resource growing freely. The result fruit would be sufficiently ripe to attract birds, but not to make wine. In order to control the plant, a few much should be kept in mind. First, training the traveling. This system determines the direction in which the shot will grow, the position of the vine. Follow the select traveling system. This refers to the system of the post and the vine that we see in vineyard, which suppose the wine shot. Fronting is designed to limit the size of the vine and the control yard. By eliminating cans and leaf, the goal is to set the number of buds that will subsequently go out and produce fruit. Canopy management. This involves limiting canopy growth by removing leaf and vine shot to direct glucose production toward the fruit. It also allows us to increase and improve the fruit sunlight exposure. The harvest. Harvest begin when the wine grower and the enologist decide that the grape have reached the perfect balance between sugar level and the physiological maturity. Sometimes the harvest has to be brought forward to avoid treating weather condition. Hails can damage the grape when exclusive rainfall fill the berry with water, so losing the sugar and the affecting the quality of the subsequent wine. The mechanical harvest speed is the main advantage of the mechanical harvesting. This is particularly advantageous under bad weather conditions in order to avoid the oxidation and the premature fermentation. In addition, it allows for nighttime harvesting, which deliver the grape to the winery at the lower temperature. This means winery save energy because the grape don't have to be chilled, pure or the fermentation. Mechanical harvesting, however, does not allow for selective grape picking and collect under grape insect, leaf and more along the way. For the manual harvesting is slower and demand a bigger workforce, but allow to pick select the grape. In addition, whole crucial harvesting reduce the risk of damage to the fruit. Manual harvest can be performed in all kinds of terrains. In fact, in the vineyard located on steep hillside, manual is the only option. Ecological practice: oxygen management, sulfur dioxide use, and oak influence are common elements in the process of the vinification and the aging. Oxygen, sulfur dioxide, and oak. Oxygen is a highly reactive gas, which means that when it combines with other molecules, it alters their properties. Keeping in mind that oxide wine, its proper management is crucial during vinification and aging in order to obtain this result. If we looking to preserve parental aroma, the oxygen should be avoided at all costs. Remember, as a wine oxidize, it lost its fruit aroma. In order to avoid this, grapes are kept cold until reaching the winery because low temperature slow down the chemical reaction. In addition, winemaker use anti-dioxide like sulfate dioxide, which also act as antiseptic, an absolute must in the winery. During aging, It's important to control the amount of oxygen that enter through the oak, which is hormonal. The level of the oxidation depends on the size of the barrel. The last of the time, the wine remains in the barrel and whether it is full or not. In this kind of wine, oxidation develop and add the aromatic complexity. As a result, the wine become more flavorful and earthy. In red wine, it often the tannin and the stabilize color. Next is the over French wine about the white wine in the French that come from the Alsace, Rosé, and the Burgundy. For the four major white wine that produced in the region in France, Alsace, Bordeaux, Burgundy, and the Rhône. For the Alsace, white wine made from the Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, and the Riesling. For the Bordeaux, red wine made from the Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc. For Burgundy, red wine made from the Pinot Noir, and the white wine made from the Chardonnay. Rouge is the last one. White wine made from the Chenin Blanc and the Sauvignon Blanc. What are the white wine and the red wine of the Germany and Austria? Germany and Austria wine is typically associated with the Riesling that national most harvest and the widely plant grape. Yet beyond the Riesling, the France, Germany both directly of the integrated white wine in the process. Varieties like Sylvaner, Poitou, and the Pinot Blanc go along the rising. German winemaker do product red wine, and yes, it's quite good. The quality is actually rising, which is vintage red grape now account for over a third of the vineyard planting in the Germany, which might surprise those who automatically associate the country with its signature rising grape. Next is the history of the vineyard. History of the Alsace wine industry. They were traded together with other German wine since the brands provide the means to transport the wine in the 1967. There were 9,400 hectares of the Alsace vineyard in the 1982. Around 11,750 hectares, and in 2007, 15,300 hectares. There are many kinds of grapes that could be grown in this vineyard, but the dominating grape varietal grown in this region are the Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and the Gamay. There are new wine that blended in this region. Yes, there are blend wine. For example, the Malbec blend very well with the varietal like Merlot and the Cabernet soon known. The result is a wine in the Bordeaux style blend that begin with the modest are often known for the being smooth tasting, yet they retain the pretty of the further of the added warranty. However, not every wine can be blended like Pinot Noir grape that have a gentle touch and the specific climate to achieve. Most when winer who invest in blending shy, shy away from the grapes. For this region, uh, all of the approximate amount of alcohol contained around the 12 to 5% to 13.5. According to the order to it will be Athens white French, Renoir, Mortus white and the red white Burgundy. All of it are mostly around this level. For the food that should be paired with those kind of wine, most are cheese that would be great paired with those wine. However, sometimes can be paired with the seafood stuff like sashimi, seafood salad, or fish taranis. Or other good choice like white meat such as chicken or the well with the creamy sauce, especially with a mushroom. Or maybe a fresh noodle, hot pasta, and carrot, and other things small. Next is a red wine Italy. There are three main regions in Italy that produce a red wine. So we need to know about the history of the vineyard first. So history of this vineyard. Back more than 4,000 years and the climate identically suited to viticulture. Sure, Italy is one of the most diverse winemaking country in the world. By the time the Greek first came to the South Italy, wine has long been a part of everyday life. Grapes were so easily cultivated. They named the country Onotria, meaning the land of the wine. The influence by the following of the Rome took the great interest in the winemaking skill. The Roman gods, Bacchus, and the wine festival that celebrate him. Bachelors got so out of the hand that they were eventually banned by the Rome sense. With the rise of the categorization and the importance of the wine as the part of the sustainment, Italy continued to refine winemaking technique through the Middle Age, firmly connecting and international reputation for making a wine. Variety of the excellent wine. In the 19th century, along with much of the Northern Europe, the virus Philocella took hold and destroyed many of Italy's vineyards. Replaced vineyards were often designed with the maximum quality, not quantity, in mind. Italy became a global source of the investigative table wine. It was not until the 1960s when the series of laws were pushed to control the wine quality and the labeling that the modern of the winemaking began. Which kind of grape have grown this vineyard? There are only two types of grape that grow in this vineyard. This area noble seasonal grape is the basis of the Chinese classical, and the noble grape is the basis of many of the complex, intense red wine that make the region famous. Are there any wine brands in this region? Yes, it is. It is a base of the Nobel Sagunawas grape. It's the basis of the Chinese classical Bordeaux di Montesino Vino Nobile. There are more the Quesino and the blend known as the Super Tuscany, which are now some of Italian most extensive wine. Even Tuscany traditional sweet wine Central has made great strides. In this region, Covina, Ronderia, and Molinara grapes have the highest percent rate, which is 14 to 16 alcohol made in the Veneto. For the food that might go well with all of the kind of the wine, it's most of Italian food. Most Italian wine are made to go along with this of the Italian food, and the Piedmont boasts some of the best fine dining in the country that positively overflow with the great food. Next is red wine producing in the region of Spain. We will start with the history of this vineyard first. Around 3,000 years ago, and the formed what are now the cities of the Cadiz and the Jerez. Viticulture was well established, and the Spain wine become a widely trade through the Mediterranean and the North Africa. When the Romans conquered Spain, there was a new winemaking method and design, but when Rome fell and the various tributes invade, winemaking suffered until the Visigoths arrived. A new bowl came with the 8th century. Invasion of the Arab and their religions blame of alcohol, but wine continued to be produced, and in the Middle Age, in the forest with the rise of the Catholicism in 19th century, the wine locust authority began to destroy all the wine in the Northern Europe. Winemakers from France called the Pyrenees mountain bring with the new grape variety and the modern technique. By the time Philosopher reached Spain, discovered that American rootstock was immune and could be given onto Europe, while result in less damage to Spain vineyard. The grape that mostly go, they will plant the orange grape, which is the most plant. Then the Tempranillo is the second place, and the Bobol, the rest will be unpopular with the Gernacha, Tinta, Monteros, Cayentana, Rans, Macarel, Chanel Suvichnon, Sense, Alice, Holigoro, and some other kind of grape more. They are blended wine. Temporal is the primary red grape, visceral, but the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and the Malbec are the commonly used as the blended grape. Aging classification are also the similar to the Russia, but it's far smaller in terms of the production. There are food that should be paired with this kind of wine. Portuguese Madeira and the Spanish sherry are containing the highest alcohol of the Spain wine. But salty meat dish like this are more complicated as the enchilada, tannis, and the acidity. So this might be the great pair with the Spain wine. For example, Pancon Tamote, Pantatas, Bravos, Pandron Peppers, Gallicus Octopus. This might be a great pair to them. There are red wine in French, which is the Boxer Burgundy and the Rhone. So we will continue what first. For the three major red wine production regions in France, they are the Bordeaux variety, generally used in the reference to red variety, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and the Chardonnay French, principally Malbec and the Petit Verdot are two minor red variety of the Bordeaux. Red Rhone varieties such Jeshua, Chinos, and the Mauves. Southern French variety generally used in reference to red Genecher, Signasol, Mourvedre, and the Carignan. Next is the history of the vineyard. When it was discovered that American rootstock was immune to the bugs, vineyards in Burgundy and the Bordeaux and the Champagne were given over and recovered rapidly. In 1855, Emperor Napoleon III required a classification style be developed to identify a borders-based wine. The so-called first to fifth grow or the curve was highly subjective destination by is still in place today, with only a few small changes on top of this system. The OAC or the application their origin control is the base of the idea that foods and wine products that come from the specific place need to have a protection to ensure quality and prevent fraud. The French adopted this system in 1930s. Grapes that mostly go in this vineyard. For the grapes that plant in those regions are Chardonnay, Rochelle, Marsanne, Wingonia, Sauvignon Blanc, and the Semillon. For the highest alcohol percentage from all of the three types of wine, Ronan have the highest percentage is around the 13.5 to 14.5. What food should pair with this kind of wine? Chablis is a southern region of the Burgundy known for the pure Chardonnay wine made with little or no oak. Classic Chardonnay is full of the intention military and cis. The soil of the Chardonnay are rich in the calcium and the fossil from the ancient sea, making the pairing with the oyster natural and perfect. Most oyster dishes pair well with the Chablis, but the simplest and the fittest match is a raw one. This one is for of kind of the wine. So I just divide into 4 types of it. First is white wine, red wine, wine juice box, and fine wine. And cooking, this all of it. So how long can you shelve it? For the unopened one, such as the white wine, you can keep it 1 to 2 years. For the unopened red wine, 2 to 3 years. Juice box for 1 year. And for the fine wine, 10 to 20 years. But for the open one, like white wine, should drink in 2 to 3 days. For the red wine, 1 to 2 weeks. And lastly, for the cooking wine, 1 to 2 months. Next is the temperature that should or recommended to serve those kind of wine. For the sparkling wine, ice cold between 3 to 7 Celsius. For white and rosé wine, just a normal temperature refrigerator 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. For the rich white wine, it should be cold, like Chardonnay should be around 7 to 12 degrees Celsius. For the light red wine, just cold between 12 to 15 Celsius. But red wine, slightly cold, around 15 to 20 Celsius. For dessert wine, it depends on the size of the restaurant or the people who serve it. Next is how are the wine fermented. The process of the fermentation in winemaking turns the grape juice into the alcoholic beverage. By putting a grape juice into the container at the right temperature, adding the yeast, which turn the sugar into the juice, into the alcohol, and then carbon dioxide, the grape juice will ferment. For the most expensive wine is Domaine de la Romania Conti Romani Conti Grand Cru Cote de Nu. It's around 56,287 dollar. The most expensive French wine is also the most expensive wine in the whole wide world. For the most French famous area that well known for the wine is Bordeaux. It's the most famous French wine area in this region. It includes many famous areas such as Margros, Alpes, Saint Fermi, Lons, Pololo, Sachun. Next is what are French three most famous wine. First is Romance Conti in the Burgundy, Petrou in the Pomerol, Bordeaux, and lastly is Centre Margros in the Bordeaux. What is the best white wine in French? Champagne. Every celebration gone with the bubble. Vintage champagne is the ultimate celebration wine, but its ability to be paired with food is often overlooked. Make it tiny quantities. Vintage champagne is generally made from the producer very best wine in the very best vineyard. It is aged a minimum of 3 years before it can be released, but many are held for even longer. The resulting wine are complex, marvel, and winemaking. How many wines are there in France? There are around 70,000 wines in France, or around 110,000 wine growers who at least one vineyard, but many of them bring their grapes to their local co-op. For the percentage in France that producing wine, and for the farmland, nearly one of the third hectare is producing and selling wine, with the tenants in situ and transaction represent less than 2% of the total surface area. What does terror mean? Terror is defined as a complex of the natural environment factor that cannot be easily modified by the producer. With the aid of the various management design, this complex is expressed in the final product, resulting in the distinctive wine with an identifiable origin. What does cost mean? In this cost mean slope, it has nothing to do with close seashore and river bank. In order to get more sun into the grape and to drain the wine, winemaker grow wine on the hills toward the south and the southwest. Which country produce the highest amount of wine in the total? Italy would be remain the world's largest wine producer, followed by France and Spain. These countries are also the world's largest exporter, according for more than 50% of the global market by volume. What is the four main classification in the French OAC and application of their origin control, meaning regulate with of the origin? OAC is the highest rank of the four main wine grants, the place where the wine is coming from, appearing on the label VDOS as when delimit their quality superiors, meaning delimit wine of the superior quality. There are few wine falling into this category, as it is easier to sell a wine either as a AOC or the Winter place. Winter place meaning country cover generally a large area. This wine are getting better and they offer the best value for the money. Water table meaning the table wine. The only grade with no identification of the geographic area. These are the lowest quality wine. 2000 Benjurus Noven. This wine is a light wine and should be drink with 6 months after the first Tuesday of the November. It should be served chilled. The color of 2000 Benjurus Novus is a little bit lighter than usual. Traditionally, it has a deep purple robe. Taste is a smooth aroma cherry and plum. As usual, almost no tennis display. It is somehow the traditional Honduran as always and easy to drink wine. The key thing to take it as it without expectation and to enjoy it as a party wine. It is able to make American wine to be a sparkling wine that we call champagne. Champagne wine is protected by the Europe regulation called the Protect Designation of the Organism or PDO. This Europe law protects the name of the local product made in Europe. Its name has been accessed recently by the American administration. However, traditional maker of the sparkling wine in the US who make this kind of wine before the administration accept the Europe law can still call the wine champagne, but new sparkling wine in the US cannot wear the name champagne on the label anymore. The PDO law is similar to the AOC regulation in France. It protects cheese products such as the Stilton in the UK and another thing more. Rhone Valley and the cost the phone the same. Pongsathorn is only part of the Rhone Valley. Pongsathorn is the wide application in the Rhone Valley is actually the biggest one with a total percentage with a total production of 250 million bottle of wine. Cause the Rhone spread in the south region of the Rhone Valley, while in Côte is usually red and perfectly. Other application of the Rhone are the hermitage, Castle de Pape, cotton retail, the wonders among others. There is also called the Rhone village application which is different from the cotton Rhone the village. Why supposedly better? Between 2004 and 2005, the domain of the Romane Conti, which one is better? Although the 2005 generally better vintage in the Burgundy than the 2004, it seems that the people at the Romane Conti managed to get the best out of the grape in 2004. 2005 vintage is slightly better than 2004 to the specifically for the red wine in the Burgundy such as the Roman Conte. 2004 is the greatest vintage for the Romane Conti, but production was lower than usual and therefore price get steeper. They will be hard to find. 2004 is also the very good vintage, but this time production level is better. Therefore, although price is still expensive, Romani Corte will be easily find. Romani Corte is one of the best wine in France, located in the Burgundy, and they offer some of the finest wine in the world. There are 10 best crew of the 10 Beaujolais crews with Margon of the 10 crews of the Beaujolais. This closest to the Moulin when in terms of weight and the structure, and it can age nearly as well. It has a firm maturity thanks chiefly to the genetics, soil, and fruit profile that shape toward orange. Perle Foulet outside Morgan Foulet apply to have the greatest concentration of good producers through the 10th crew of the Beaujolais, and with the particularly fine terroir. Furry is other great source of Cru Beaujolais. Fur of the coast mean flower in French, and indeed the wine of Furry are characterized by the distinct floral note, violet. Julianus is the other chrono to be a little solid than the other, and so can be aged. The wine signature profile is deep red sherry with a transform with few year bottle aged into nurses flavor that were toward crisis. Cote de Bolelli and Borley. As the word Cote implies, and Cote de Bolelli lie on the sides of the hills. It's never Bolelli with the Cote. is the bottom predictably cotton their barley tend to ripen better and it produce a more structured elegant wine where when compared to cotton their barley and indeed the other tendril of the Beaujolais barley produce a lively style Beaujolais for early drinking. It makes a causes appear in the simpler bitter than the Paris. Sesamo is the most northerly of the Tenker. Bordering the Macron region of the Burgundy. At its base, Saint-Amand is an intensely red fruit wine, bearing a bit of the resemble to its much more expensive cousin to the north, less more than Charlesbourg, positioned with the tentacles. It is unique as it is at the very highest altitude of the Beaujolais, and the grape take about a week longer to ripen than elsewhere. Leganis is a vineyard. Leganis is distinguished by its pink genetic soil in the mouth. It seems to have a slightly specific profile than the other cloves. It's lovely wine in the right hand, but unfortunately there are not many famous examples. This comment and Guru Breton, a member of the American Gang of Four, make the best example. Chanel produce a tender wine that can age surprisingly well. You do not see it around much, as very few, for example, are important to the U.S. Moulin is arguably the most noteworthy of the 10 located in the very north of the Majoran region. Moulin wine made from the German grape variety are known for being some of the most concentrated and the tannic make in Beaujolais a far cry from the light, simple Beaujolais never wine, flora and fruit. The wine in young. This wine often develop spicy earthy characteristic as they age. Lastly is barley. It's the application of the red wine produced from the vineyard in the central north Beaujolais. The lower slope of the Mount Beaujolais and the surrounding countryside contain significant planting of the German grape variety relatively robust and full body wine made quite unlike the light French Beaujolais Northern wine. The wine are more fruit driven than many of the other Beaujolais curve wine than the plum and the very flavor outweighing German traditional various characters. For the recommended medium range of French wine, I would recommend as the extra special Beaujolais village would recommend to the wine drinker. It is an absolute vegan made with game grape. This wine is light body and dry. Red is a juicy wine with an cherries aroma on the on the palate. You will also find yourself tasting a mixture of berry with a hint of pepper on the finish. For the total production of wine in France, divide for the red and white wine. Average of the production in France is around 40 to 45 milliliter hectoliter, or around 3.5 billion per ton per year. 17.5 million red wine will produce 8.5 million white wine and 23 million hectoliter of wine their table, and when they pay 18.2 million red wine and 4.8 million white wine. Grape that used for making the muscadine wine. The grape that used for the muscadine wine is actually called the Melon de Bourgogne. This Burgundy grape was bought in the Rose Valley during the 17th century. Wine grower noticed the melon from the Burgundy was the best grape growing in the western part of the Rose Valley to cope with the winter season and specifically with the frost. What is the difference between the Hermitage and the Crozes Hermitage? Hermitage and Crozes Hermitage are two different wine apparitions in Côte de Lerne, although they come from the same area. They are located around the city of the Tennis Hermitage. The stories begin with the man who have a Chantre de la Guardian 1987. Chantre de Pape. Is it drinkable? So the answer to this matter would be the bottom has maybe past its optimum condition, but still should be drinkable, although you should drink it before 2007. What kind of wine people used to drink in the South France? Usually should be Château Morton, Bronature, Château Latif, La Château, Dom Quenenbra, and Brother Macross. What is the grape variety in the Chablis? Only the Chardonnay grow in Chablis. For how long can Chablis be stored before drinking? Actually, it's can be stored around 5 years, but for the best timing is 2 years. This is a modern trail grape variety known in France. Yes, it is. It's one of very well known in France. It's his own name in France. What white grass do the Chinon should use. Chinon is a light body red wine. 3 on grass is the most suitable for the light body red wine.